Welcome to another TA Talks. I'm Johnny Campbell, the social talent. Today I'm with Matthew Jeffery, who is the VP of Global Employer Branding and Sourcing at SAP. Good friend, good drinker, and a really smart top guy. Welcome, Matthew.
Good to see you. Thank you very much. Good drinker.
Thank you, and thanks for having us here. This morning, Matthew was able to show us around the F1 race car simulator downstairs. I've been at Hoffenheim Stadium with you. A big sport theme for SAP. SAP seems to be an organization who like to win. You're here 4 years, is that right?
Yeah, 4 years, gone quickly.
Tell me a little bit about maybe SAP, for anyone who doesn't know the business, what you guys do, a little bit of context, maybe in terms of your role.
Okay, so we're a large global cloud enterprise software company. We've moved from the on-premise, on-site software to obviously up in the cloud and connectivity from anywhere. Our goal is to help make a business run better. We've got around 80,000 employees and things are going pretty well right now.
So it wasn't always that way. I remember, so you've been speaking on the kind of global recruiting circuit for a long time. And 4 years ago when you joined SAP, you were just absent for a year. It was like, did Matthew Jeffery die? Because nobody saw you, you didn't speak at conferences, you weren't anywhere. And it was like, okay, maybe he's actually just found the job that he hates. But you stuck it out and you have since come back and you're back bigger than ever at more events, more conferences, more awards. What happened that first year when you joined SAP? What was the background you went into?
So the background, firstly, because I've been at Electronic Arts and Autodesk. People were saying on the conference circuit, oh, look at him, he works in these companies, easy to deliver, you know, these very sexy brands, and could he hack it in a large corporation? And so there was that driver internally of, okay, I want to go into a large corporation where it's going to be challenging, where there's going to be bureaucracy, where it's going to be tough, where is there going to be, you know, that ability to hopefully make a difference. And so I went into SAP, and you're right, I went in there, and it's a matter of getting your head down, going into meetings, you know, assessing, you know, there's that perception of SAP out in the marketplace, very large German company, bureaucratic, slow moving, and difficult to innovate. So that was a perfect sort of red rag to me to go into that company and see what I could do. Those initial days were spent going into meeting after meeting, learning about the company, suggesting new ideas and strategies, and quite honestly being beaten down. People saying that that's not possible, we can't do it that way, it's never been done that way in the past, and this is the way that we've done it, and it's a proven way of doing things. And so going in and trying to convince people to try something a little bit different. So that was a year of building ideas, building the team, building data points, and trying to, you know, after some of those meetings are coming out and feeling, God, what am I doing? How do I rejuvenate and get fired up the next day? It was a tough time, but you have to obviously go through those periods of being, you know, locked in yourself almost in a way, battling against demons in your head about, can I still do it? Can I convince people? Is this the right way? And then hopefully, you know, being able to win and show that you can do it.
In SAP's case, what was the catalyst to employ someone like you to try and bring innovation in? Like, why did the business need to feel the need to innovate, and what was the driver behind that?
I think there's a certain point that in the market that sometimes companies look at names and can they make a difference. So I was out on the circuit and I was writing papers like Recruitment 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, etc. And they were, you know, resonating and getting out there. So I think SAP felt that I could probably come in and try and help them make a difference. And so bringing that in, and it's easy, Johnny, to make excuses. And I think that there's a lot of that still in the industry today, that people, you know, before delivering and trying to deliver, it's easier to make an excuse and say, I don't have the budget, I don't have the team, I don't have the resources, you know, my manager hates me and won't do this, my department won't do this, it's never been done that way before. It's easy to make excuses. So I'm always fueled up that an excuse is not something part of the language I operate in, is that there are barriers, but it's how do I overcome that barrier? How do I go around it? And how do I make sure I can deliver? That involves compromise, and it involves failure. And to really be able to innovate and get a return on investment on the innovation, you have to accept failure. And at times failure is the worst of all drinks that you can have. And failure never tastes nice, but to get to success, you need to go through a lot of failures and go through a lot of rejections. And I think SAP could see that I could come into the environment and stand my ground, and hopefully that's proved to them that it was a right choice to hire me.
So you're on two really successful and quite large teams now in the employer branding space and in the sourcing space as part of the global TA team. It wasn't always that way. Like 4 years ago, what existed in employer branding and sourcing in SAP?
So employment branding, there was a small group of around 2-3 individuals. And I think the key thing is that when you look at SAP is that, we're a business-to-business brand. And how sexy is that to a lot of people out there when they can see consumer brands out there? So in our space, we compete against Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook. And then particularly when you go to on campus to see graduates and, what's in their subconscious? Oh, look at these big brands, they must be great places to work. Who are SAP? Don't know, I've not heard of them, because they're not going to hear about a business-to-business company. And so we have to work harder. And so there's been that realization in the company that we've needed to invest and to grow. So with 3 people initially, and with a sourcing team of sourcers in country, there was a realization we needed to do something different. So again, looking at it and building the team step by step, incrementally, both for sourcing and for branding, proving with data points that we can make a difference to get to the point of the day that we have 18 people in the employment branding team and we have over 50 people in the sourcing team. Right. And then we've moved from an organisation that used to be focused on creative teams and agencies and investing money into them to actually doing our own in-house creative. So we have people on team now who create our video and edit that video. We have digital marketers, we have a cartoon specialist, we have people creating big data reports and looking at that, and social marketers. So we've invested and brought all that in-house, and we've saved a lot of money in terms of millions per year in savings of what we invested in digital agencies and creative agencies by doing it ourselves. And by doing it ourselves, we're doing things at the time, in real time, and creating things that we know is inherently right for SAP. So that's made a big difference on the journey.
But you still don't play it safe. Back to the innovation piece. Bureaucratic organization, very large, but you are doing really innovative stuff. You guys have had cartoons, VR games, that kind of stuff. I imagine the brand police, the product brand police, still cause a bit of tension with you. So can you walk me through some examples of how that's materialized, how you've got over it, to try and still do the innovative, exciting, cool digital social things, or things that are geared towards more graduate hiring that probably isn't going to fly without a bit of effort from you and your team to try and get it past the brand police?
So I love that term, the brand police. So there are different elements within SAP. There's the corporate marketing, there's the branding areas, the public relations areas, and there's different areas all focused on different things. So the key thing is that SAP are phenomenal at product marketing. That's what they do, that's what they're great at. We're not product marketers, we're people marketers. We have a different perspective on how we want to project ourselves. And so having those discussions with marketing and getting that approval and sign-off has been a challenge at times, because there's not that meeting of minds initially that, what we're trying to achieve and what they're achieving, that they don't marry it up. And so that you have to build that trust and that degree of, let's go with this, with product marketing and with marketing and the brand police, as you say. And so there have been times like, we looked recently at a cartoon. Can you imagine going to them and saying, I want to do a cartoon? And they're like, you're not Pixar, you're bloody recruitment. Why do you want to do a cartoon now? Well, we looked at social recruitment and we looked at social media, and we look at what are the things that create the most engagement. It is video, it is games, it is photography, and it is, humanisation of what's going on out there in the world. Cartoons are an area that create fun, people share them, they like to see what's going on. Imagine we create a cartoon about some of the fun, different scenarios of what life is like at SAP. And we can laugh at ourselves, when we sit on a conference call and some of the things that happen on, we all go on conference calls and we have those silly scenarios that you can hear somebody in the background, dogs barking, people coming on and saying, can you hear me, and all this sort of rubbish that you get on conference calls. Having some of the fun and putting it into a cartoon and seeing how that flies. Not going to work. Matthew, don't do it, don't waste your time. Will you trust in us to try a pilot? And then they get to the point, okay, try a pilot. So we couldn't invest resources into this. So it's then going into some of the business and advertising or some of the internal networks. Does anybody help us create a cartoon? We found an intern in the USA who was working on a completely different part of the business on a 12-month placement, and he said, okay, my part-time, I'll help you. So he came on board in his part-time, not getting paid, not getting rewarded for it, starting to, designing his passion, drawing and designing some cartoons. He gets that, seeing them, the thrill of seeing them published. Then what happens is that, we start to divert some time on them, and then we start to see some engagement there. And then when you start to see some of those cartoons getting 6,500 engagements, likes, shares and comments on one cartoon on a corporate recruiting Facebook page, that then starts making people go, okay, there may be a point here.
Try some of this.
Engagement, let's try it. And so then we were able to then look at, let's hire him onto the team. And so because of the thrill of seeing engagement levels and what was happening and a different aspect coming through, we hired him on and could see more skills. So that guy, Matt Olak, who's now based out in the States, he now creates digital marketing assets, web banners. He creates a lot of the material we have like interview packs. And so he's on team, on site, creating the material, still doing the cartoon, but creating a lot more for our team. And one of the great stars of our area, which again has shown that if you push for something, you can really make a difference.
I guess to summarize, what I'm hearing from you is that when faced with quite a large bureaucracy and obstacles and big challenges to achieve, ever-changing environment, your personality is a huge part of that. I see externally, we might not see it as much, but it takes a certain personality to persevere. There's probably a reason why 7 or 8 people left the role that eventually Barbara took on and has kept stable, because they didn't have that personality and will and determination to do it. But the strategy of using data to drive every argument, build business cases, persevere, know you'll get it once the data tells a story, but also couple that with external validation, because internal stakeholders will always try and see what the rest of the world's doing, and you need to be able to say, well, look, it's okay, and we have this success and we're good and we're okay. But really importantly is making sure that you have that team that are empowered, that are behind the vision, that have somebody who is the right kind of leader, the kind of leader who says, take my job, do what I'm doing, because that's the ultimate success, is that you're going to do me out of a job, make me redundant, because you guys have been able to take on this, regardless of your age, experience, how long you're in the role, but just through your pure ability. Back to a data-driven story. The data says you can do this, so keep going.
And I think what's interesting is that when you look at things, is even the most status quo areas, you can change. So one of the passionate areas is graduate recruitment. Elitist area. Most companies, including ourselves, we looked at what are the top universities. So USA, across Europe and in the UK. In the UK you go, right, okay, Oxford, Cambridge, maybe chuck in a Manchester, Imperial, LSE, and then you think, let's divert all of our time and resources to those universities. So then you go on campus, and then we see Google and Facebook and all of them on there, and then we'd be competing for that small amount of students to then come and join SAP. Then you ask yourself, are they the best students? Are they the best people to come into SAP and to work for us and make a difference? And then you look at some areas like sales. Yes, intellect is key. Intellect is ticked off by those boxes. But then there's things like, the perseverance and the soft skills, communication skills, presentation skills, leadership skills, the ability to act under pressure, the ability to really, project a great personality and build relationships. You're not taught that. That's almost inbred in some ways, that it's a talent that you have, personality and ability to drive relationships, which is sales. So you then look at, okay, somebody could be studying pick anywhere, any great city has a university, and they could be studying there. Why are they studying there? It may be that they didn't have the finances to go to another university. It may be that they're there because their relatives are ill and they're staying behind to look after them, or whatever. It may be that they've had children and they can only go to the university part-time. Maybe that person hasn't even gone to university, that they may just have those skills inherent to make a great salesperson. And so we were very worried we were missing out on that best talent. So then we looked at things and we partnered with chemistry, with Roger Philby and Gareth Jones, brilliant guys. And they said, well, look at these assessments. And then we went on this path of looking at candidate experience, giving real-time feedback, giving candidates a sense of how we judge them. Are they the right fit for SAP? Are they in the right role, etc., giving them a 3 to 4 page report back. And then having this as a revolutionary new way of taking candidates and driving it through digital, lots of candidates, into the funnel of an assessment, and then that assessment giving us the sense of who could be potentially a great hire at SAP. So then we started to look at these people and see how they performed at SAP. And then we were seeing people coming from universities we would have blackballed in the past, and just automatically, because you know a recruiter's busy, they're just going to go to the tried and tested routes of that university's brilliant, we'll go there, and they must be a great hire. So then these people from universities we would have blackballed and never ever looked at were coming in and smashing sales results, and hiring managers going, wow. So then that led to us looking at that university strategy isn't right. We don't need to pour our resources into the top 6. Let's embrace digital. Let's embrace that somebody can come, you know, even without a graduate background, and just, you know, come into this tool, and we'll assess them based on how they're coming. And that's revolutionised the way that we look at things. Then we've looked at what we call T1, T2 recruitment. Those are people with 1 to 4 years experience. So when you get that CV and it's pretty blurred, how does a recruiter, when they're very busy and they got, let's say, 600 CVs to look at in their inbox, prioritise that? They will look at education, back to that university and that sort of thing, exam results, and then they will look at the brand of the individual of where they've worked. So they will go, okay, they've worked at this company, that's a great brand, they must be good. All companies make hires which don't work out. We do. You know, you're never going to have 100% retention. Sometimes you take a risk and it doesn't work out. Apple do, Google do, Facebook do, every company does that we compete with in that space. But when you look at that 1 to 4 years experience, how again do you look at people from companies you've never heard of, from startups? How do you assess them? So again, we've looked at assessments to try and help us widen it out. We call it sort of adding more meritocracy into recruitment, democratizing graduate recruitment, because you're now looking at everybody based on their abilities. So that's changed things, and it's changed the role of a recruiter in ways that it's opened them up into new ways of thinking. In the past, I would have been subjective, I would have been prejudiced, and I wouldn't have had people at this university or at this company. Now they're looking at things and thinking, wow, and that again changes the dynamics. And that's come from us thinking in employment branding about how we can change the whole recruitment across SAP and open it up. So we've embraced digital, we've embraced assessments, and we've embraced a new candidate experience, and we've helped the recruiter. Better shortlists for them, better speed of hire for them as well, better quality of hire for the hiring manager, and more data at those levels. So again, we're not saying that we're doing this at the senior levels, because there's more to judge and there's more experience to look at. But for graduate experience and those early levels, it's made a fundamental impact in the quality of hire we've made.
Again, bringing the data to the table where it's been absent. And I know Dan Richards in EY is doing similar stuff with getting away that big 4 hiring approach and changing the dynamic of who you hire from in the universities. There's loads of data drives a lot of the conversations. I'd imagine if there was a Recruitment 4.0 article ever written by Matthew Jeffery, which we may one day see, other people have tried to write it. I think the data movement and artificial intelligence which is coming in will be the next part of that. You know, I think the next 4 years are going to be exciting. There's lots of things happening. Whether you get the opportunity to do it with SAP or others, it will be really interesting to see it. It's great to hear your insight from somebody who recognized that the world was changing, 6-7 years ago in recruiting, put yourself out there, then took on the brave challenge to go put your money where your mouth was into a big organization that was highly bureaucratic, difficult unions, all that kind of stuff. But to persevere and see real results, externally validated, the achievements, the real change in the business, and build a sustainable team behind them is impressive, and something that any and all TA leaders should be taking. So Matthew, thank you for sharing those insights. It's always great, always a pleasure. We'll hopefully see you again at Talent Connect in the US this year, where you'll be speaking. Oh, up to the house. Oh, interesting. Well, okay.
I'll be coming in to heckle you.
Well, heckle me, and if anyone is there, come to the bar and you can hear Matthew one-on-one, or at any other event you find in the UK for the rest of the year. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back again soon with another TA Talk.